Ask Reddit. What are your best strategies to win an argument? Hold a gun and ask them to repeat their opinion. Take every disagreement personally, attack your opponent's character, declare how much money you make, talk about how many people you've slept with, sprinkle in some homophobia and racism, and boom, poundage. Make them talk, wait until they finish, look straight into their pupils, and if they turn away tell them to look at you. Never lose eye contact, never move, never do an expression. After they talk, give them 5 seconds of silence to make them feel stupid about what they said, and then tell them your point with a strong and firm voice, even if you're standing up for something wrong. Step 1. Be right. Stay calm and rational, don't fall into a side argument, stay on point. Keep holding your point in a respectable manner. Don't scream, thrash, punch stuff, or wave your arms around. Know when you've lost and appreciate the other person's side. Don't attack people personally. Open up the internet and search on Google. Don't raise your voice, speak slowly. Be informed on what you're talking about. You've gotta sympathize with them. For example, you can't say, "But my way is better, of course." Instead say something along the lines of, "Oh, that's a great idea, it's very effective. It sounds like a lot of work though. What if we found a more efficient way, like spreading out the work?" Not the best example, but hopefully you get the idea. First determine if the person wants to hear the other side and if they're open to changing their mind. Know the person you are arguing with. Do they listen to reasons? Are they too frustrated at this point to be rational? Are they just venting and no matter what you say they will disagree with you? If they are genuinely interested in your side of the argument, present it logically in a way that they can understand, meet them where they're at, agree before you disagree, find a common point in your views before explaining the differences from there. If the other party is not interested in listening to you and understanding you, there is no winning for anyone at all and you might as well just leave the conversation to save your time. An NBSP. Know your end goal. What are you trying to achieve by winning this argument? Sometimes winning it may not bring you any closer to achieving your goal, winning the argument, but breaking a relationship may cost you more. An NBSP. Know your ground and the alternative arguments. Always be able to back up your points if challenged. If you are unsure about something, state why you are unsure and how it does or does not affect your conclusion. Keep an open mind to explore arguments that the other party brings up but you have not thought of before. If something is true, then it will be true no matter how you challenge it. If something is not true, then there is no point in stubbornly holding onto it and trying to convince others that it is true. Know your facts, and if they don't understand, then that's a hidden way of admitting they lost. Mock everything your opponents say by repeating it with a silly, quacky voice. Guaranteed win by exhaustion. Know your poop, and don't stammer, or blubber when making your points. Be right. Dismiss their argument before they make it on the basis of its existence alone. Are you seriously trying to say, excuse X, Y and or Z? If they make their argument anyways, dismiss it very generally so you look like you're logically consistent. That's just what they teach you in school. Don't believe everything they teach you in school, or, if not learned in school. Why don't you take a class on subject and learn something? Just because not everyone is gonna get it. I'm more just ranting about annoying tactics other people use. You should try to make your point and have arguments as to why you believe you are correct. Lure your opponent into saying, "Your mom." The response with, "Your mom PT too." There is no winning that argument. Be right. Have a counterargument for every point the opponent could possibly make. Source, was on debate team, one of the most underrated educational experiences out there, actually prevented me from entering arguments. Stick to the argument, and use facts over feelings. If you're on Reddit, question the subreddits they frequent, incorporate lots of condescending sarcasm and call them an idiot when they disagree with anything you said. Why are you trying to win? It's not about winning or losing, it's about having a respectful conversation between civilized people. As soon as one part tries to win, regardless of who is factually right or wrong, it devolves into petty wordplay used to boast your own ego. If you want to win an argument, try to learn something from the other guy. That would actually count as a win in my book. Speak calm and slowly and know what you are talking about. VX. Explain my point of view logically, and if they don't understand, I explain it in many different ways until I'm basically talking as if my opponent is a 5-year-old. If they still don't understand, I quit, because then they're clearly unwilling to listen and there's no point in arguing. If it is a case where me losing the argument actually disadvantages me, this is the point where I beat them up and throw food at them. Actually listen to your opponent and understand how arguments are constructed. As a former debater, the opposition often gave me lots of ammunition. Dig through the other party's post history and call them out on something mainstream Reddit doesn't like. Make sure you know what they mean, and that they know what they mean. Often people trip themselves up. Remain calm. Also, it is best to know when an argument is pointless. There are many people who are too dumb, stubborn to ever be convinced of anything. But the main one is to realize that having your mind changed doesn't mean you have lost. Say your part, then punch them in the stomach before they have a chance to say anything, and run away before they can recover themselves. Always ask the other person to be specific. Specific. If they are uninformed and incorrect, they will not be able to bury down into the details, or not like what they find down there. Often, I find, people will assume others agree with them because something is obvious or common sense, and then, when pressed on what they mean specifically, you'll find a whole world of disagreement. To give an example of an idea being pressed to the point where the originator wouldn't agree with it, I'll use Lena Dunham, since she is publicly a kind of pop culture face of self-righteousness. Years ago she posted a tweet worrying out loud if the man following her was a rapist. The punchline was along the lines of "Never mind, he's Asian," playing into the idea that Asian men are not typically what we see as threatening, and I would be crime stats would support this, but let's be press this idea. If Lena is worried because a man is walking behind her but is relieved to find the man is Asian, that must mean there is a certain race of man that would cause fear. She introduced the concept of race being the mitigating factor here, so let's ask her to be specific. Which race would W? If you disagree with someone, and believe you are knowledgeable about the subject, ask them to be specific about what they are saying and what that really means. It usually takes care of people arguing in bad faith. Also, do not allow someone to build an argument on a foundation of lies. Always call that out immediately before they construct the entire idea, which may then be too late. And never be afraid to just flat out say, "I don't believe you." If you make a claim, you must be willing and able to substantiate it. Be sure you understand their position, question them about it until you do. Then, keeping a calm, even voice, systematically ask simple questions about their position that test their belief and their understanding of their premise. Each question will flow from the previous one, usually sparked by their answer. Gradually what they thought of as rational will gradually become evident even to them as irrational. Caveat: they will hate you forever though. I have a better idea than just explaining it to you in text. Watch the YouTuber Counter Arguments and his 5 videos on 12 Angry Men. The first step is to pick your arguments carefully. Don't get into arguments at all unless they're really important. Just say, "I disagree," when they're not, or avoid or change the subject. Psychologically torture them. Can't lose an argument if you don't get into one, just let idiots be idiots. Reverse psychology, confusion, telling them they are lost, having the high ground. Be right. Try to ask a lot of questions, and I don't mean questions like, "So if you would ... because that's always a loaded question that just makes them resent you. Ask, "What would you do if ... or can you clarify ... My favorite it is, "What do you mean by ... because people often use blanket terms that they don't understand the meaning of. Phrase your argument in a way that sounds like you're agreeing with the person you're arguing with, and calmly state the flaws in their argument and state your argument at the same time so you can make your opponent feel stupid. If you know you're wrong but want to argue anyway, talk with a purpose, use words that make you sound smarter. It'll eventually get to a point where you sound so automatically right that they won't care enough to argue.